This may appear a strange or a challenging subject for some for me to be sharing today. The words have been swirling around in my body, in my mouth and on the tip of my tongue. And so rather than suppressing them, it feels really important to share my voice today. Narcissistic behaviour and narcissism is a very key word on the internet that has been explored by many and exploited by many. When training as a counsellor for adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse, narcissism is highlighted as part of being a wounded child. That when we are displaying narcissistic behaviour or toxic behaviour, that we are coming from the space of a wounded child within us. For 5 years, I lived with someone who would be classed as a narcissistic person, and for 8 years, I have known this man. Through living with his narcissistic behaviour, it mirrored much of my own childhood. It created an arena for me to move and grow from. And with that said, there is a gratitude for the part that he played in my life. His behaviour was a complete representation of the childhood he had had. Drugs, sex, alcohol, shouting, domestic abuse, violence and fear. And his behaviour, his childhood, was a complete reflection of the childhood that I had grown up within. But there was a consciousness to that, and whether that is a gift or not, I have no idea. But I've always been able to see the light, the love, the beauty in others, and have a clear vision of that beyond the shit and the unloving behaviour that was being played out. And I didn't want to lose that ability within me, because to lose that ability within me would mean that I would not be able to share the work I share. It also meant that I would lose the intuitive side to myself, the feminine side of myself, this ability to be able to touch a body and to be able to feel the wounds, this ability to be able to touch a body and the body would speak to me and speaks to me words that that person has absorbed as truth and is therefore living by as truth. The ability to be able to see others' memories, the ability to be able to dream things or see a vision and for them to be truth. So during this time of living with this man, where there was domestic abuse, where there was intense shouting, where there was him having multiple sexual relationships behind my back and claiming me to be his landlady, or whatever story he played out, I would be feeling what he was doing and dreaming what he was doing. And the difference was, this time, in my childhood, I never spoke out. I never gave it a voice because I was told I would not be believed. And also there was a fear of what may happen to me if I spoke out. So I had an opportunity to come from a space of voice. And so I would speak out and share with others the truth of what was happening within the home environment. The thing was then was that I was not believed, because narcissistic behaviour includes this ability to soothe and be charming and to be very good at masking to others, most people, the wounds that they are playing out, let's say. So I was not being believed. And then I grew to realise that actually it did not matter if I was being believed. What mattered was that I believed in my intuition, I believed in my visions, I believed in my feelings, and that I had given that a voice. How others received that, whether others believed in that or not, was not the healing here. The healing was in giving voice, and the healing was in owning my own intuition and owning my own femininity, with power behind that and strength behind that. Because if we lose our intuition, if we lose trust in ourselves, then we lose ourselves. And that is a very uncomfortable and painful place to be, to actually have lost ourselves. The other key thing that was being played out was betrayal of love. So as a child, I knew that the displays of what was being maybe called sex or love around me and to me were not sex, and was certainly not love. Not as I knew it as a child of innocence. And that can be the most painful pain, to have a betrayal of love of someone you see so clearly beyond their shit, someone you see so clearly beyond their wounds. And it can physically hurt. And to actually shut away that love is more painful. So I learnt truly how to, in that betrayal of love, not to unlove myself, to hold that love, because that love is who I am. That love is how I feel. That love is how I show up in the world. And if there is a betrayal in that love, then that is not for me to disown or suppress the way I love. There's a real balance of self-preservation and self-protection in this. And truly what matters all the time is coming back to self and holding a space for our own inner child to be held, to be heard, to be witnessed, and to survive. Because if we enter the arena of the game that is happening between ourselves and the other wounded person, or if you want to call them a narcissist, then everyone loses in that game. There needs to be a conscious person within the dynamics of a behaviour, of when narcissistic behaviour is around us. When this behaviour is being displayed, how am I feeling? Where does that feeling stem from? How can I hold that? How can I witness that? And we find that we stop playing our lives out from the wounded child, and then we can actually move into the wholeness and the strength and the love and the intuition of all that we are. We become the woman we were always meant to be before the trauma, before the wounds. We become the person we were always meant to be. Or we become the man we were always meant to be when we heal our wounds and our own narcissistic behaviour. We become the person we were always meant to be. And often, if we can see that these people come into our lives as an opportunity for growth. There's this wonderful storybook by Neil Donald Walsh, where two souls are coming to earth, and one of them is very fearful that they will forget who they are, that they will forget their light, and the other soul says to them, don't worry, I will be dark. I will be dark, and everything I do to you, everything I share with you will be dark, so you do not forget your light. And in that is love, because when someone is displaying to us their wounds, their egotistical behaviour, their narcissism, whatever we want to label it, we have a choice in that to remember who we are, to remember our love, to remember our strength, or to play into, again, the wounds, because often these wounds that are being reflected are often wounds within us, wounds we know. I sincerely hope that this does not come across that I am insupportive of narcissistic behaviour, but I would like to reveal another side to that narcissistic behaviour comes from the wounded child, and actually to hold these people in this label of narcissism, in this label, they are unable to grow and heal their own wounds, because all we are doing is supporting and holding what they believe to be about themselves as truth. If we are saying you are this and you are that and you are this and you are that, then we are just feeding that belief, that wound within them. So it's to hold our own love, to hold all that we are, to hold our truth, to hold our strength, to believe and trust in ourselves, but also to be whole, to hold at a space the opportunity for them to grow from their wounds also. And so the end of this video really is to send gratitude to the man who played out in my life. For without him, today I wouldn't be the woman that I was always meant to be.